Are there specific foods that help you increase focus? Because not everybody is just going to eat Cerelac during exams.
No, neither should they.
Yeah.
So the connection between food and focus is very interesting. Human evolution happened, and one of the theories of why human evolution happened the way it did was that we had access to fish. So evolution started along the riverbeds and the ocean, like shores, and we had access to fish. Fish had there's a molecule called DHA. The full form is docosahexaenoic acid. It is one of the omega-3 fatty acids. Now, omega-3 fatty acids and specifically DHA helps in forming membranes of the brain.
Okay.
It helps to form brain cells.
Okay.
Because we switched to a diet which was rich in this, encephalization happened, which basically means your brain grew larger in size.
Okay.
So there is a correlation between animals that are close to the ocean or on the shore versus deep in the jungle.
Oh, interesting.
And there is a difference in brain size.
Oh, wow.
So one of the theories as to why did we evolve like this was because we were eating food that helped our brain grow faster. And we were able to focus better. We were able to remember more.
That's omega-3 fatty acids.
Omega-3 fatty acids. So that is one of the most well-researched molecule for brain growth, for cognition.
Yeah. I'm having that moment, the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio, like,
I know this.
yeah. So the second you said omega-3 fatty acids, I had that moment because widely prescribed almost for any deficiency you have.
Correct.
Can we talk a little bit about omega-3 fatty acids and why is that something that every nutritionist I've gone to has said you need more of this?
Now, here is the problem, okay. I love reading about research and I love finding these new things. But at the same time, I believe that there is an oversimplification that happens. We look for easy answers.
Of course.
Right?
To reduce cognitive overload.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we have this word, omega-3 fatty acid.
Yeah.
Great. Now I can just bombard everything and put everything on that.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, we'll find another molecule and that will become the hottest new molecule in the circuit.
Yeah.
The answer is more nuanced and therefore more tiring. The truth is that there is no single brain food that you can take and all your problems are solved.
Of course.
Right. So the whole concept of focus is that you are able to modulate your attention. And food is a small part of it.
Of course.
The main purpose of food is to give your brain enough nutrition, enough energy to pay attention and not eat foods that lower your cognition.
God, it's not like badam khane se your IQ points will go up. That's basically what you're saying.
Correct. But there are foods that you can take that will inhibit focus.
Create
like
a
alcohol.
mahal where your brain can function better.
Perfect.
That's max what food can do.
Correct. So nutrition is a support system. It's not the solution.
Got it. It's literally a supplement for your exam. It's
Yes.
not
It's pretty much.
interesting. Another thing that people do when they want to focus, people often say, oh, I just want my cup of coffee and I'm going to sit down and I know I'll get through this, assignment or task.
Yeah.
What is the connection of focus to coffee?
So caffeine is a stimulant. So caffeine increases your sympathetic drive. It increases
Sympathetic drive, okay.
Right. So it increases alertness.
Does nicotine also increase your sympathetic drive? I've heard that episode of Andrew Huberman.
Yeah, so it does. Nicotine there are receptors in your brain for nicotine. So there are nicotinic receptors that modulate attention. And when you smoke up or when you smoke tobacco or you consume tobacco in any way, that nicotine does go into the brain and act on those receptors.
Please don't go and smoke saying ki
Yes.
focus बढ़ता है sutta मारने से. That's not what we're saying.
It doesn't. What happens in the long term though is that if you're dependent on an external molecule, then it's not sustainable because everything will have its own side effects and eventually that side effect will stop you from consuming that.
Correct.
And then your focus is gone.
Correct.
So the good thing is that your body is already born with all the chemicals it needs for adequate focus. With caffeine, it's like a two-layered answer. First and most important, I feel, is the placebo effect.
Which is
beyond anything else. Ki haath mein coffee hai, therefore I am a focused person.
Yeah.
It's just that exactly. Now we are focused people doing focused podcasts.
Yeah.
Because haath mein coffee hai. But at the molecular level, what it does is there is a chemical called adenosine.
Adenosine.
Right. So coffee affects adenosine and reduces sleep.
Okay.
So that's what caffeine does.
It reduces sleep.
Yeah, it reduces the onset of sleep.
Adenosine is the opposite of melatonin.
So when coffee modulates adenosine, your sleep cycle, caffeine affects your sleep cycle. It shifts you towards sympathetic. And your attention increases for that much time. If I were to bet on it, I would still say that the placebo effect is more.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's interesting. That coffee pushes the needle towards the sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Whereas food that gives you comfort shifts you towards the parasympathetic state of your nervous system. Is this why eating food makes you sleepy? Or eating heavy comfort food makes you sleepy?
Eating high calorie, high carbohydrate rich diet, because you're so much into parasympathetic that you are asleep.
This is why I like to eat my dinner late, because it helps me sleep way quicker when my belly is full.
Yeah, because when you are hungry, especially if you're not used to it or your body is not used to it, hunger is a threat.
Correct.
Your body needs to be trained to go beyond that instinctive feeling. That just because you're hungry does not mean you're in danger.
Correct.
So that's like a very childlike response, which most of us haven't learned, to be fair. Out of 8 billion people, most of us will still associate hunger with threat.
Can you train your mind and body to understand that hunger is not a threat? Because why is hunger a threat? Because, since the time we were cavemen, if you went hungry for very long, it meant that you're not getting access to food, which means your tribe is under threat, or you need to go hunting to get so-and-so, so-and-so. But how do I train my mind and body that hunger isn't a threat? I mean, for example, I've been trying fasting, and it gets easier after you do it for 3 or 4 weeks. 16 hours becomes easy now.
Yeah.
So the way to train your mind and body to not treat hunger as a stress trigger is to just go hungry for longer and then eat.
And then eat. That's not a small thing. I think of it as training a child or training a pet. The child is afraid that agar khana nahi mila to kabhi bhi khana nahi milega, because our limbic system or the old primitive brain cannot think into the future. So if it's hungry now, it thinks it'll be hungry forever, and that's why the panic goes on increasing. But this is a natural evolution in our neuroscience knowledge. Everybody hates the limbic initially.
But then you realize that limbic system also responsible for other positive
all
things.
The good things in
all
life.
All the good things in life, yeah.
So that's the payoff.
Yeah.
It's like a toxic relationship.
It really is.
So when you're hungry, your limbic system needs to be trained that if you're hungry now, you will get food. It's not that you will go hungry forever. You are not dying. So every time you fast for 16 hours and you eat food, your limbic is learning that, it's okay.
There's light at the end of the
If you have a dog, the first time you've left your dog for even an hour, it might go, crazy. But then gradually you train it, and then you can go for 4 hours, 5 hours, and you'll come back and the dog is nicely sleeping, calm, because he knows that he can trust you to come back. That's pretty much what the limbic system is. It's just a scared dog.
I want to ask you as a neurologist, have you done some hacks to train your brain? Since you were a student of neurology, you slowly start understanding that, the brain is basically like a pet.
Yeah.
And then you train your pet to do certain things. Are there any hacks that you have tried to trick your mind into doing things that are good for you?
So I used to do this thing, I still do it, where I ask myself, where is the needle? All right. Now, imagine that there is a speedometer in your brain, and on one side is your prefrontal cortex, your evolved rational. On the other side is your limbic. At any given point of time, you or your consciousness is somewhere along that spectrum. Now you think you are one person, but you're actually multiple people.
Yeah. So when you're stressed, it's more towards your limbic. When you're angry, it's more towards your limbic.
Yes.
When you're with your loved ones and feeling really nice and happy, it's more towards your limbic.
Correct.
When you're social with many people, public speaking in a social gathering, or doing some sort of an intellectual exercise, that's more towards the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. The more mindful you are, the more in control you are, the more it is in the prefrontal cortex.
To simply put, yeah.
At any given point of time, I just ask myself, wait, where are you?
Got it.
Are you in limbic or are you in PFC? And
right now we're both in PFC.
Right now we're in PFC. We're talking about food in a very detached way, as if it doesn't matter to us. As soon as the podcast is over, "Arey, khana mangao yaar."
Yeah.
So then we are in limbic.
Correct.
So I realized that this question is important because I have tried dieting many times in college and all that. And I realized that the person who plans the diet and the person who orders the food are very different people.
2 different states, yeah.
So PFC orders, but limbic eats.
Got it. So you ask yourself, where's the needle right now? Is it in PFC or is it in limbic?
Correct.
And then?
And as soon as you realize that, you want to do things that push the needle towards PFC.
Isn't the act of asking yourself this question a PFC driven act.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. Just seeing that the needle is in limbic is enough to start pushing it towards PFC.
So being mindful
Yeah.
is a prefrontal cortex driven activity.
Correct.
You're effectively making your PFC become stronger so it can compete with your limbic system.
Exactly that. Suppose if there's somebody in road rage, okay, he's gotten out of the car and he's really angry. If he can just say that I am having road rage, the needle will shift to PFC.
That's too funny and interesting.
But the thing with limbic.
This is what the being mindful movement is all about.
Correct.
It is to shift the balance to your PFC.
Correct. That's what journaling is about. You are sad, you are crying, and the more the needle is in limbic, the less words you have. Because limbic doesn't understand words.
The more you articulate your feelings, you are forcing your PFC to recognize what your limbic system is going through, and hence calming you down.
Exactly.
Oh,
so put
beautiful.
words to it. Whatever you're feeling, put words to it, you'll find the needle going towards PFC.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you started asking yourself this question more often.
Right. So where are you? Are you in PFC or are you in limbic? And the more neuroscience I learned all the little stations along the way. That PFC and limbic are extremes, but there are small little stations along.
Like, do you have names for these stations? And why is one of them called Dadar?
Dadar is the worst.
Dadar is the worst.
Because you can go anywhere from Dadar.
Everything is limbic in Dadar. There is no room for PFC.
Yeah, and there's a machi market right there.
Yeah, so these stations between limbic and PFC.
Yeah, so there are stations between the two, and the more neuroscience you learn, the more you can give words to it. So you're not in extremes. It's not like I love you, I hate you. मतलब बीच में बहुत कुछ होता है. Just like that. So limbic and PFC के बीच में there is conflict junction, and there is different areas that do different
things. This is a
things.
separate pod altogether. I would love to deep dive a whole hour into just this, which is in what state of mind you're at and where's your needle.
Exactly.
Just that.
So we think of ourselves as one whole sorted person, but that's not true.
Yeah, every single stimulant on the external puts you at a new station.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Pretty much. Exactly. So coming to food hacks, I've tried out a lot. The only thing that works is making sure that you know what you are eating in the next meal, at least 4 hours before.
Okay, can you elaborate?
So, and this stems from the conversation that we were having. If PFC is deciding the diet, let PFC order the food. The closer you are to the moment of eating, the closer the needle is to limbic. And if the needle is in limbic, you are not ordering rationally.
Okay, let me rationalize this in my own way, and let me try and explain.
Yeah.
So, for example, I've lost a bunch of weight in the last year.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And I did a few things differently now than what I have previously done. For example, I have a salad service in my house, which is one meal of the day is guaranteed coming in, which is just greens and protein and really healthy stuff.
Yeah.
So I let my PFC decide what my meal is going to be. And another thing that happened was that I had someone come and start cooking for me, and they would come in the morning. So then I realized that, hey, the problem really arises at my dinner, because if I eat the salad in the afternoon, I still have to make another choice for my dinner. And the longer that I wait, the more likely I'm going to make a bad choice.
Right.
So then I just ask them to deliver the salad later on in the day. So then at like 5 p.m. when the salad comes in, my natural reaction is, oh, this is going to be my dinner. So the choice is already made for me. So in a sense, if you pre-plan your meals, it helps you stay on track.
Yes, let PFC choose.
Let PFC choose and put yourself in a situation where you have to follow your PFC's order.
Correct. Which is so interesting because our grandparents grew up in a society where a lot of those decisions were already taken. So I feel that...
What do you mean? A lot of those decisions were already taken means?
Okay. Human society has always struggled with this PFC limbic debate, right?
Correct.
So the only way to solve for discipline is to not have these choices. कि ये time पे ये खाना है, ये time पे ये है. Everything was already decided.
Yeah. These are all problems of abundance.
Exactly.
Yeah. And olden times where problems were of scarcity.
Yes.
So if you're in a certain situation, only certain types of food were available to you, so that's what you gotta eat.
Correct. So there's no problem of choice, and जो भी choice है वो पहले ही बन चुका है. It's not कि वो time पे we are scrolling through an eating app or an order app and we are figuring out कि क्या खाना है.
I was just gonna say, man, like Swiggy and Zomato and food ordering apps have made it so easy to be a slave to my limbic system.
Because we never order 4 hours in advance.
Yeah, we always order when we're hungry right now.
Correct. Imagine if we can pre-book. कि अभी डिलीवर मत करो, 8 बजे रात को डिलीवर करना है, बट मैं ऑर्डर कर रहा हूँ सुबह को. The choices will be so much healthier.
Oh, that's amazing actually.
But we don't do that, right? We will do it at the moment of hunger.
Correct.
And that moment of hunger is always limbic. PFC doesn't have a chance.
You know, why is my limbic system so attracted to biryani?
Oh, that's a you problem. No, actually, it's a high carbohydrate diet, right? So it's instant energy.
Instant,
it's a lot of spices. You're already, your mouth is watering.
Coming back. So you were saying, which is right then and there, when we order, we're slaves to our limbic system. So
Correct.
make sure the decision is for what to eat is by our PFC.
The hack is always to not order in limbic. Don't decide your food while in limbic.
I realize that sometimes I make dinner plans to go out to a restaurant and eat dinner with friends. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have this one big meal at the end of the day. And I rationalize to myself saying, okay, I fasted for 16 hours today. So I can afford to have this, 1200 calorie.
Earned it.
I've earned it. And I realize now that because I have put myself in that stressed mode where I want to eat almost immediately, I inevitably go over calorie because I'm going to the restaurant and ordering.
Okay.
Instead, if I pre-order, in fact, in Indian weddings, we don't know what the menu is going to be. But in weddings in America and Western cultures, you can decide what you're going to eat on
Chicken
the
or
day.
fish.
Chicken or fish. Yeah, you can decide before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which is
super
amazing,
interesting,
right?
yeah.
In an Indian wedding, Indian wedding is a great example. You are standing in line, you finish all of that, uske baad you just want to eat, and there is so much options.
Correct.
You are not in PFC. You will eat everything.
Yeah, the whole Indian wedding experience is a limbic-driven experience. Everything is limbic-driven.
Everything is limbic.
I really want to get married. Who do I get? Whoever I see next, I will get married.
Whatever I see next, I will eat.
Yeah. But if it was a PFC-driven decision, like when you were 5 years old and you decide that someday in the future I want to marry someone like this. Anyway.
Not advocating child marriage.
Yeah. Just, no one was advocating it, but now he said the word child marriage, so just chop that line out. So this is a great framework, which is let your PFC be in control for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Wow, this actually solves for so many problems, not just with food, but emotional decisions.
So there's a small little hack here. When you said you go to a restaurant and you over order, if you are going there with someone you trust, order for each other. As simple as...
Because you will not over order for someone else.
Let them order for you and you order for them. So immediately your limbic has no skin in the game.
That's a super interesting
Even
hack.
if you are hungry, you're just hoping that they will order something high calorie for you, but you don't have a say in it, and you will order something healthy for them. Because now your needle is in PFC. Our needle is always in PFC when it comes to other people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because limbic is selfish.
Limbic is selfish. And PFC wants to be perceived as being liked for others always?
No. PFC just wants to do what is sensible, what it thinks is rational. So if somebody says, hey, listen, can you order for me? I'm trying to eat healthy. You will immediately look at the salad. You're not ordering chole bhature. But if it's for you, now it's personal.
It's 5 choles and 7 bhatures for me.
Green salad for her.